Hello, everyone. This is your friend Tom Moore coming at you live from the new and improved Spyderco Millie Club. You know, it's not really about any specific knife, it's just like a club about knives. It's a really cool place. It's on Facebook. You should come check it out. We talk about everything. It's my home base. And this is our YouTube account. And I haven't done a ton of just recorded content, so I figure today I'll make a how-to video and record it and upload it, but a how-to video of how to sharpen Para 3, which is pretty applicable to just about any Spyderco that's got a flat grind like this. So yeah, we're going to throw an edge on this today. Shouldn't take too long. This is not my knife. This is one that got sent in for sharpening, and it has a little bit of damage that we'll take care of, but not a big deal. First thing is introduce what I'm sharpening with. Today we're going to use my TSProf K03, my big boy sharpener. It is pretty cool. It's kind of overkill sometimes, but I really am enjoying it. It's a very precise instrument. It gives me nice edges. It works quick. It's big. It takes up space though. Anyway, that's what we're going to use today. My cadet is kind of down for the count. And currently on this K03, there's like a bunch of different clamp setups you can use, but right now I'm using these. Are called the hole milled clamps, and they're sitting on these little L pieces right here, the L adapter that makes it so you can center the clamps instead of offsetting them only. So if you have a TSProf and you're having problems working only on one side or getting the two clamps to hit a small knife, the L adapter is the answer that you're looking for. And since we're using clamps that don't have any protection on them, this is just bare aluminum. We're going to use a piece of chamois cloth. This is made for drying a car. It's made of sheepskin or something, or deer skin. But it's like a leather product, obviously. Very absorbent, very soft. It's cheap as hell. You can get a big sheet of it for $10 on Amazon. And I make hanks out of it. And it's really good for cleaning up stuff, which I'll show later. But it's also excellent for, you take it, put it over your blade like so, when you're going to put it in the clamp, and kind of line it up in the clamp, and gives it something to hold on to. Now we're just going to put this in here kind of loosely. Chamois cloth is holding it in place. Take my stone, and for stones we're going to use half stone premium CBNs. I start edges on factory edges at about 150 usually. Only time I go lower than 150 with this set of stones is I use an 80 grit to do repairs on really nasty chips and stuff. But the 150 is aggressive enough for profiling a factory edge, no problem. So we're going to start with 150. And before we do anything though, we're going to take the stone and line up. You might think, if you look at this right now, it looks kind of goofy, the angle this is sitting at. It's pretty close to tip to pivot parallel, which is about right. But to line a Spyderco that has a flat grind line like this, that has a termination line, this vertical line that you bump into where the flat grind starts, to line a Spyderco up and the clamps right, the most important thing to do is you want to make your stone parallel with that line. See how they're exactly the same? That was kind of by chance. Let's tip it a little bit. And the reason is you want to be able to get to the very end of your heel. You want to be able to get down there with the stone, and you don't want to damage this face, because if you put it at a wrong angle, you'll sharpen across it, you'll put a dent in it. So that's very important, especially on Para 3s, because the angle of this on a Para 3 is a lot more extreme than a PM2 is. So we're tightening this down in the K03. We're lined up. We're going to check for angle now. And to check for an angle, Spydercos are easier than most knives because Spydercos are generally 17 degrees. Sometimes they're 18, sometimes they're 16. But they're usually pretty close to 17 degrees, like almost on all Spydercos. Doesn't matter who makes it. That's just how Spydercos are. They're 17 degrees. So we'll start there. But before we do that, we're going to put Sharpie on here to see when we hit it how it's lining up. Make sure it's lined up in the jaws correctly. Make sure it's not tilted. Make sure it's both sides are the same. So we got it in the jaws, and we're going to use the TSProf K03, which is pretty cool. It's got this built-in angle finder. And we're going to adjust the angle until that says 17. I'm going to drop it quite a bit. I was just sharpening a hinderer. Okay, 17 degrees. Tighten it up. And now we're just going to give it a little light pass across the Sharpie to see what of the Sharpie has been removed. Try to get it closer shot of the edge. So we're moving across. Looks like we're hitting the leading edge. We're hitting most of the edge right there. We're hitting the leading edge here, and it kind of goes back up. So let's see how the other side looks. The other side is pretty clean. It might be a little bit different, but right here it's taking the full edge off, and here it kind of goes up, just hitting the top of the bevel. So we're going to say 17 degrees is good. It averages out. It'll look the best at this spot. Now, if you were hitting the leading edge on both sides, what you would do is you would lower the angle and lower the angle until you're cleanly removing as much of that as possible. Spydercos, I like to keep it 17 if I can, just for consistency. But if it was way out of whack, I would change it. But I want to keep it here. So anyway, first thing we do now, before we sharpen, is we push the stone up to how far it will go up. So right now I can't sharpen past here because of the stop collar. So we're going to adjust that stop collar until when it's fully compressed, it still can't walk the stone up onto the face of the blade. So if you ever see people that have scratches vertically going up the face of their blade, they probably didn't use a stop collar. This little thing right here that hits back there and keeps the stone from going up onto the blade. That's very important to do if you want to keep your blades nice. So we got that set. There's one in the back that controls how far it can go down. Adjusting that one as well. It's not as important. But that's about it. Now we're going to sharpen. Give it a few passes across the edge, kind of see where it's biting into and what's going to need to be cleaned up. So we're going to have a bit of work to do at the tip. The tip kind of fades off. Through the middle, we're looking pretty good. And usually what I do when I start a new Spyderco edge is I kind of just feel it out, see what it looks like, look for any damage. In this case, we have a tip that's been dropped on, so we're going to pay a little extra attention to the tip. It's just a minor nick. It will be no big deal to come out. And the most important part of a Spyderco edge to me, though, if you want to look really good and really stand out, is right here, is the heel. So once I kind of feel the edge out, make sure I know where I'm going to be sharpening angle-wise at, I jump down to the heel. And I just give it a couple, 3-5 strokes up vertically, right along that flat grind line. Don't push up against it too hard. You just kind of use it as a guide. And if you're using good quality stones, like these half stones, which are very good quality stones, it won't affect the vertical plunge. It'll eat right up to the very heel. So as you can see, we ate the heel away already, and we were left with what's very common on a Spyderco edge. So we ate the heel, a lot of it up. It doesn't take a lot of effort with good stones to get the heel flat. There's usually a little divot about 1/4 inch away from the heel. There'll usually be a little spot that comes down. It's kind of like however the machine sharpens this, it leaves a little area that's different. So we have a little bit of Sharpie there, so we'll just need to pay attention to get that out so the edge is even and profiled. It won't affect its sharpness now. It's just kind of a visual aesthetic thing. I like my edges to be really even. So our heels are looking good. A couple more strokes on it. Working on that little divot area. About a 1/4 inch from the end. Pretty common, but that's how you know, those are little details that make a good edge versus a sharp and mediocre looking edge. Is just making sure it's very well profiled. Everything's even. You don't have any big defects in the edge from that was left over. So we've sharpened all the Sharpie off all the way up basically to here. So now we're going to work the tip. We have a little bit of damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my finger under the tip to support the stone to keep it from rolling. If you're rounding off tips, it's because you're rolling your stone. You're pushing too hard, you're just pushing off the edge. So by putting your finger on the tip, it just keeps it balanced and keeps you from tipping farther than you want. So using your left hand under the tip, this is how I repoint tips. It's just vertical strokes on the tip, and then a couple trailing strokes like this, and then vertical strokes again with my finger underneath it. It'll straighten the tip out and eat a little bit away, and you just keep on doing that until all the Sharpie's gone. So we've eaten quite a bit of the Sharpie off already. And straightening the tip up is pretty simple. It just kind of happens. If you just do this for a little while, tips just kind of form. As long as you're not rolling off the end, it will get pointy. I don't know the physics behind it, but if you just keep on doing this, I've taken off tips that had huge snapped off portions just doing this, like kitchen knives especially, and reforming a tip's not a big deal. So we got quite a big burr at the tip, so I'm going to finish that off on our next pass through, but let's give it another pass throughout the whole edge. You don't have to get everything perfect first pass. I'm just trying to rough it out, make sure that we're hitting the apex, making sure that all the Sharpie's gone that we can. Now we're going to flip. Do the same thing on the back side. We're going to check first for a burr, which we have a visual burr up here. I can see it because we were really working it. So we have a burr I can see through here, and I can feel it right there. So the other side is effectively sharpened. We're going to do one more pass to clean it up. But we're just going to do the same thing on this side, profile the edge, move all the Sharpie, make sure the little edge, the burr, the leading edge is curled over in its apex. So this side is pretty damn close to 17 right on. Pretty much remove the Sharpie all the way, just one pass. Then we'll work the heel. So we're going to heel a little bit. We got a little divot on the side as well, so we're going to work the divot out. Make sure we blend the rest of the edge in, make sure we're not using one spot too much. So let's work all the way to the tip. This side's tip is really is better profiled, it goes the angle better. We're going to do the same thing on this side, basically just repointing the tip. Just grinding a little material off and kind of pushing the steel back so it's pointy again. It's kind of weird how doing tips works. It's almost like magic. Okay, now we're going to examine the edge. Our divot's gone. I feel the burr. Tip is pointy. We're going to flip to 150. And now this is my cleanup pass. This is minimizing the burr that's already there. I can see it. I can feel it. We know we're sharpening now. Once you get a burr, your leading edge is getting sharp, and then the rest of this process is just making it smaller. So we're going to go back, and now we're just going to give this a few passes, make sure all the Sharpie is gone, make sure we don't have any big scratches. This tip wasn't too badly damaged. We're going to do try to sharpen it as much as possible. Get a little sharper than it is. Okay, there we go. A couple quick passes on the side. Okay, we're going to flip. Again, you can feel the burr. You just want to take it off. We're going to be a little extra cautious with the tip since we're trying to repoint it. And again, good stones make a world of difference. I do mirror edges all the time, but I'm enjoying doing edges, just working edges. Just satin, like factory, original looking edges, I'm enjoying more because it's a lot less time than when you do a really good edge and you have to come back and fix it because of a dumb scratch and you have to start over, and it's kind of defeating. It's fun, it's cool. But just being able to sharpen and just get something really sharp and that's concentrate on that is what I enjoy more now. So I'm really enjoying satin edges on my own knives. Do those. I basically use the 150 stone and my 400 stone. That's it. You only need 2 stones to really sharpen. If you get 2 diamond plates, you can get them for cheap. I have a set of diamond plates that say for $25 right now. And you can sharpen anything. Diamonds cut hard steel. So this is Cruware, not the hardest steel. And this is actually CBN, not diamond, but they're kind of related. They're both super abrasives. But super abrasives like diamond will cut any steel. It will cut Maxman. It will cut Rex 121. It will cut anything. And so that's what you want to do. You don't want to be using ceramic stones if you're sharpening a lot of Spyderco stuff, because those just won't work on a lot of stones or a lot of steels. But these half stones will cut anything. And you don't need to get super shiny, but this 400 grit will leave us with a better than factory looking edge. It'll be very sharp, and it'll look nice and matte, shined up. So, I usually overwork my stones. Like, I spend more time on them often than I need to, but I'm starting to decrease that. So once your most important stone is your first stone. So we just profiled the edge at the 150. That's by far the most important stone. If I was going to do a mirror, if I was going to go through 7 more stones after it, that first one I spend the most time on by far. That's all the time we need to spend on the 400. Even less than that, honestly. And I usually do 2 passes. Right now, all we're trying to do is minimize the burr that was left from the 150 stone. Make sure we're nice and pointy on the tip. A little burr hanging off. Huh. A little chunk of burr was hanging on. Let's do one more pass each side. And we're going to look, make sure everything on the edge is nice and consistent looking. Make sure there's no like spots that look like they were a different sheen. All the scratches going one direction. Nice and even. And that's a good looking edge. That's all you need. Mirror edges are cool, but honestly, unless you do a really good mirror, it's not as impressive to me as a really well profiled edge. Just a really good clean edge is a skill. Okay, and that's all we're going to do. That's done. Now we're going to take it out of the clamps. And now we're going to take our 150 stone again. And since this had a tip defect, I'm trying to get the tip extra pointy. So we worked it with the stone, but now we're going to take our lower grit stone, we're going to lay it down like this. We're going to take the spine of the knife, and we're just going to take the tip and kind of drag it along there. It kind of makes it a little more pointy. There we go. Now we have a very pointed tip. Okay, last step, I'm going to take a strop. This is a paddle strop. This is a Beavercraft paddle strop. You can get on my Amazon for 20 bucks. This is the strop I've been using for years and years. A bunch of these, not this one. This is loaded up with 6 micron gunny juice. Gunny juice is a diamond emulsion product. That means there's little bits of diamond in there, and it helps the sharpening process when you strop a knife. So we're going to run the knife across the gunny juice strop at 17 degrees ish. We find that by taking the knife and pushing it into the leather as we tip up until it kind of bites the leather, and then you can feel that's where your knife's supposed to be at. So right there is the angle. I'm just going to take it and give it a couple passes at roughly that angle. I can feel that there was something there still. Both sides. That's good. You don't need to strop really more than that. Now, I'm going to take a piece of paper before I clean it up. I'm just going to check if it's sharp. Check that I can drag across the whole edge and there's no snags. Make little curly cues that has bite. I only use notebook paper or printer paper to test edges. I'm not crazy. I don't use like cigarette paper or matte, whatever. People use crazy stuff to get crazy sharp. I can feel how sharp this is. Like if it's super sharp, I can feel it. If it's kind of dull, it will still cut, but I can feel that it's kind of dull. This feels nice and sharp. Nice and clean. So, we're now going to take a piece of magic eraser and we're just going to kind of give it a scrub, make sure we get any of the Sharpie marks off. This is really good for removing Sharpie. So we're going to clean it up and then just make sure we don't leave this worse than it came in. So we wiped it off with a chamois cloth now again, just to kind of get any residue, any dust off. And that's it. That's a sharpened Crewwear micarta Crewcarta Para 3. Para 3 is my favorite knife. So, love sharpening them. All the steels, all the knives, they're always fun. They don't get repetitive. I just enjoy sharpening Spydercos. So, if you've got any questions, hit me up in the comments. I'm happy to help out. Again, this is your friend Tom Moore from the Spyderco Millie Club saying thank you.